Does it say sharing? Oh. Hey guys, it's Fiona Whitten here from Oakville Crafts. I'm hoping that you can see me. I'm just popping on here today to say happy World Card Making Day. So I'm just trying to set up my iPad here so I can actually see what's going on, but I don't really know what's happening here. Oh, let's see. Fun. Oh, I am live, I think. Yes, she says. Although there's a very fuzzy picture of me. Hey, so, oh yeah, there we go. So today I want to share with you a fun fold card that I have made. And I've got a bit of a lag, but anyway, hi Linda, hope things are good with you. So, yes, so happy World Card Making Day. I have a fun fold card to share with you, and hopefully you saw my sort of very brief instructions to say if you want to play along at the same time, you're more than welcome, and this is what I'm going to be using. I think we should just make a start. So this is the card that we're going to be making, or I'm going to be making. Hopefully you will follow on or do this at a later time. So we are going to be using the Dashing Deer stamp set, which is this, along with the coordinating dies. Also, I'm using some grey granite cardstock, so we just need a sheet of A4, some Whisper White cardstock, just again we need another sheet of A4, and then I'm using some of the Joyous Noel Speciality DSP. So I'm actually going to be using this sheet. There are other sheets I could have used, so there's that one, and you'll see that some of them have copper foil on them. They're absolutely glorious. I love them. So copper foil on some, so a little deer, snowflakes, which is really, really pretty. And then this is the one that I'm using, and then on the other side is the stripes that I'm going to be using. So that's the stripes for that card. This one has poinsettias, which actually coordinate with the snowflake and stars white elements, so that's nice. The deer has the other snowflakes in, so those are crumb cake, and this one is just got Tranquil Tide. This is what this is. So this has got Tranquil Tide and copper. Again, so we've got holly berries and little sprigs of pine. And then the leaves have got, oh sorry, so that's the gold foil, and then this is the Tranquil Tide, just the branches. So it's all really, really, really nice. But I am actually going to be using, as I said, this cardstock paper, and I'm also going to be using some of the Merry Merlot and copper reversible ribbon. So let's get started. So we're going to start with, and I'm hoping, can you see me? Hello, hello, Helen. Hopefully you guys can actually see what I'm doing. So if can you put a thumbs up if you can? So because I've got a bit of a lag on my my video, so I'm watching it on Facebook as I'm doing it, but I'm a little bit behind. So sheet of A4. Traditional way of cutting it is to cut it at 14.9, which means if you're going to then do a landscape card, that your fold would actually be on the top. I know a lot of people don't like that, so for landscape cards I tend to cut it so that I have got the whole length in my trimmer, and then I cut it at 10.5. So you can see there's the 10.5 mark. Maybe if I moved it down you can see, so 10.5, and cut it. And then I am going to score it at 14.9, because that's roughly half of the length, which is 29.7 I don't know why it's 29.7, but it's 21 by 29.7, which is a standard A4. So I'm scoring it at 14.9. Just going to turn it. Actually, I'm not going to turn it. And then I am going to take off. I'm going to cut off 7 centimetres from one end. So this is going to be your form your base card. So I'm going to remove my trimmer for the minute. So you have a base card that I use my bone folder. Excuse all the ink. I use it sometimes to re-ink my ink pads. So we're going to have a base card here, which forms this part here, and then this piece is what forms this piece. So as you can see, you've got the whole of your base card out of one sheet, and it just gives a different look to it. So we're going to put that cardstock to one side for a minute, and I'm going to bring back in my trimmer, and we're going to cut our designer series paper. So I don't have an awful lot left because I've already made a couple of cards, but you can get 3 out of each sheet. So it's for those of you who think, oh, I'm not going to get that much out, don't worry, you can get 3 out. So well, first of all, we're going to cut it at 10 centimetres along its length. Normally the paper would be 12 by 12, which is 30.5 by 30.5 centimetres. So we're going to cut it at 10 centimetres wide, and then we're going to make the first cut at 14.4 centimetres. So this is then going to form the piece that goes inside your card, like that. So, and I'm going to just place it there so that I don't lose it and I know where it is. You're then going to take what's left of that 10 by 30.5 centimetres and you're going to cut it at 7 centimetres. Like that. And then with the piece, you should have some obviously more left. So that piece then forms, she says, that piece that goes on here. So it's going to go on there like that. Okay. You then have this piece of cardstock, which we have the red on. So we know it measures 7 by 10.5. So we need to cut using another piece of your cardstock. So you need to cut it at 6.5. Let's get this right. 6.5, that's 10. I'm trying to be more frugal with my cards. I'm thinking here. It's going to have to be that way. So it's 10 by 7. It depends which way you want your stripes to go. So if I cut it this way, my stripes are going to be going up and down rather than horizontal. But I don't mind. It's quite nice that way. So shouldn't be 7, it should be 6.5. Try that, because that's 7. Yep, so that's 6.5, sorry, by 10. So that's going to form that piece. And then if you look inside, I actually put some in the middle, and it fits directly below this piece. So again, let's just see which bit works most. So I've only got this piece left, so I know that that measures 10, and again I need it no more than 7. So if I cut it at 10 by 7, so let's start forming this card so we know what's going on. So we've got a base card, we've got this piece, we've got this piece that we know will fit underneath there, and then lo and behold, we actually need a piece of Whisper White to write on. Because I'm assuming you guys want to send a greeting with this. So let's just double check. So I have a piece that's 10 by 7. So that means I need to cut it. And what I'd like to do with my cardstock is I actually cut it in half first, that I know that I've always got enough for some panels to go on a card front or whatever. So I'm just going to work on 1/4 of it. So mine's gone blank, so I need it to be 6.5 by 9.5. So we're going to go 6.5 by 9.5. So as you see, that piece fits nicely. I managed to catch it with my trimmer on there. So really, that is all the cutting that we then need to do for this particular card. So I can definitely put my trimmer away this time. And then it's a question of what do you want to do to decorate it. So with mine, I have used the Merry Merlot ribbon. So I've wrapped it around this piece. And then I have stamped 3 deer. So I need a scrap piece of the grey granite. I need my deer from the stamp set. So I've got, so this, the stamp set itself actually has 3 deer in it. So there's a large, very large one, which has a detailed pattern on it. And then the 2 smaller ones. So there's always some controversy this time of year as to whether it's the females or the stags that have the antlers, because apparently the males ones fall off and it's really only the females. But anyway, so that's a bit of information for you. So anyway, so we're going to use these 2 smaller stamps. Now they actually have coordinating dies. So if you don't want a fussy cut, then you can use the dies. In fact, this is the whole of the die set. So that's the stag, the very large stag. So that coordinates with that one. And then these 2, this one coordinates with that one, and this one coordinates with that one. There are also other things. So there's a deer that looks like it's jumping over something. There are some little flowers that you can use as poinsettias, and also some really cute little corners, so you can make your cards really fancy if you want to. So we're going to stamp. So on my card I put 2 of the smaller deer and 1 of the deers with the antlers. So I'm going to use my soft suede ink pad, open that up, make sure it's fully open, and I'm just going to stamp 2 deer like this, and then they will get die cut out. Double check that I'm okay, and 1 of the larger deer. Now I'm not going to bore you by disappearing off and you hear the cranking of handles of my big shot. So in true Blue Peter fashion, here are the deer that I've already stamped and cut out. So I'll just move those to one side, and I'll move these inked stamps out of the way, because I know otherwise that I will get myself very inky by putting my elbow in it. Right, so first off, I'm going to start just putting the base card together. So I'm going to glue these pieces of Designer Series paper together with my multi-purpose glue. I like to use this rather than tape runner, simply because it gives me a bit of wiggle room. You don't need to spread lots of this on here. You just need, well, around the edges and a little bit in the middle. So I'm just going to put that on there. Put this one in the middle. Move my deer out of the way, otherwise I'm going to end up with glue on them. It won't be the first or last time, I'm sure. So we're just going to put that, whoops, nearly, in the middle. So you can see, because I've used the wet glue, if it's not in the right place that I want, I can just move it around a bit. So let's push that down a bit. So that's that bit done. So we're going to glue this onto, I mean, if you don't want to use the stripy side, you can use the foiled side, but I thought the stripy side would look quite nice with the deer on it, and it just makes a nice contrast The great thing about the designer series paper is that because they're double-sided, you can guarantee that there will be something or two sheets that will coordinate, and it's even nicer when you find that actually the back coordinates with the front, because it means you don't actually have to chop into a new sheet of paper. And I know that there are people out there who like to hoard their cardstock and paper, who prefer just to have it sitting there looking pretty. But as much as I would like to do that, I also like to cut it up and use it. So I think sometimes some of this paper can add just that little bit extra to a card, especially with these foiled ones, because they're very, very pretty. So I should have done one of these ahead of time, because I really don't want to sit here fussing with a bow, because believe you me, it can take forever and a day. I can make bows, but I'm not the quickest at it. So I'm going to actually wing it and not go with a bow for this particular card. So I'm just going to do a dry fit to see where I want my deer, because it's nothing worse than sticking them on and then realise actually they're not in the right place. So apologies if you can hear the dog crying in the background. I don't know what's up with him at the moment, but I think my daughter's about to go out and he's just realised, and he's already got separation anxiety because my son went back to San Diego yesterday, so he's feeling a little bit sorry for himself. So I'm actually going to use the large and the mini Stampin' Dimensionals, and the reason my voice is coming from a distance is because I just realised that my mini ones are on the other side of my craft room. So anyway, I'm back. So I'm not going to put all of them up on dimensionals. As much as I like to use dimensionals, we have to remember that good old English post tears. The thicker you start making things, the more it starts to cost. So I'm just going to glue one on. Actually, I'm going to keep that one back there because I quite liked it there, but then I'm going to put that one on with dimensionals. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on here. And I don't put a lot, just enough to hold it. At the end of the day, it's not like you're going to be swinging this around your head and hanging off it. It's just a card, and that's going to go there. And then I'm going to put dimensionals on the rest. So he's going to have a dimensional right there. And again, I don't put dimensionals all over this either. I just kind of put a couple in strategic places. So that will do with 3. That one can have 2, because I really don't want to be cutting them down. The other thing that I found, and it's a tip that I share with the people that come to class, if you find that you've put this on and actually it's not in the right place, but it's been sitting there for a while and you've finally come to the decision that actually, yeah, it needs to be moved, then it's actually quite easy to do. Whoops, I think you can see part of my dimensional there. All you need to do is simply take a pair of scissors. So I don't know what to say, but cut through. Sounds drastic, I know. This will then rub off, and it'll rub off the back there. The only thing you need to be careful is not to do like I did yesterday, and I actually managed to pull off the head of the reindeer. So yeah, so be careful, but it's easy to do, and you just simply then put on more dimensionals and put it back. So I'm going to put it up a bit further, and that one's showing a bit, so I'm just going to poke it with my scissors. Very technical term that, but there you go. So there we go. So I haven't put a ribbon on, but obviously you can do what it is that you want to do. So the next bit now is to fix this onto the card front. It's up to you whether you want to do this as more dimensionals or glue it. I decided that actually I was going to dimensionalize it, but either way, whether you use the dimensionals or the glue, you need to make sure that you're only putting it on that half. There's nothing worse than putting it over the edge and then realising you've actually stuck it down to the front, whole of the front of the card. So just be wary of that. So I just kind of figure out this way. So I kind of line it up, and then just put another couple. So this is the boring bit, I know, taking all this off. So I hope you're all having a good day and getting to do some crafting. That's what World Card Making Day is about. So I think just about there is where I'm going to put it. So when you open it, you can see it's not stuck there. So which is good. It means I've actually done the right thing. Now this piece, it's up to you. If you want to put a sentiment on it, you can. I don't often put sentiments inside my cards, but I do tend to decorate them. So what I'm going to do is just simply add another deer. So I'm just going to stamp that deer on there. Probably should have done it before I actually glued it to the designer series paper, because if I'd made a boo-boo, then I would have just totally wrecked that and would have had to start it again. Whereas if I had just had that sheet of Whisper White, I could have just turned it over and re-stamped it. So we're now going to glue this to the inside of the card. Now the important thing is to make sure that it actually lines up with this piece. And the way that I do it is that I open my card up, I lay this on top of that particular piece that we know is on the front, and then very technically I close the card, push down, and then you shouldn't be, in theory, you shouldn't be able to see it. So it's in your card and you can't actually see where it is. Sorry, I got the dog howling now because Jenny has left. So there you go. There's that card, and then this is the one I said with the ribbon. It's up to you what you want to do. I didn't really want to spend hours and hours faffing with a ribbon, because that's kind of how I tend to go with it. And I have one other card to share with you, which for the life of me now, I can't see where I put it. Oh, there we go. Found it. So this card is actually made, oh dear, I don't think you can actually see. Try that. See if that will actually help, because it's all looking a bit fuzzy. So this particular card, is it going to do it? Oh, okay, so now we've gone sideways. Okay, I'll turn it that way. So this particular card actually is identical to this one. All I've done is I've simply moved that panel so that it's at the edge. Oh, and it's still upside down. Oh dear. You love this Facebook Live thing. It's like you can never quite work out which way it's supposed to be. Well, I'm going to turn it back so I can actually see it myself. So it's this way around. Sorry, I'm trying not to laugh because of the dog. And then it will actually stand. So this piece will stand at the front. And then all I've actually done is I've added an additional piece of grey granite. The dog doesn't normally howl, and I don't know if you can actually hear him, but oh dear, never mind. And I stamped the Happiest Christmas Wishes and the garland, and then this is just simply a piece of the ribbon that I've just doubled over and held in place with some tape, and then added the sentiment, which is simply glued to a piece of the copper foil. So that's it. I do have one more card, which I haven't gotten around to. Well, I have made it, but it has disappeared. So I'm going to put that on my Facebook page, and I will add all the instructions. Oh, you can hear Kylo crying then, Linda. He really is howling, and I just don't know what's going on. So I'm going to have to go and sort him out. So anyway,